Hello YouTube, this is Mahadeva, OG Thunder Wizard. Sorry, I gotta put my uniform on here. And today we're going to be talking about combining the three spiritual powers in order to manifest your will. I'm calling this path a path of sorcery for a reason. Not because I'm saying that if you practice this, you're a black magician. That's not what we're here to do. You know, there's the path of the monk, the path of the spiritual practitioner who is seeking peace and balance, which of course I am also doing. And then there's the spiritual warrior that goes out into the world and uses their awareness, that uses their abilities and their evolution in order to manifest a higher vibration of reality. I'm using the term reality warping. And in order to do that, one must have access to and know how to combine the three energies, the three spiritual energies. We can liken them to the three dimensions. In the physical, we live in a three-dimensional world, which is height and length and depth. And in the spiritual, we have three energies that we can use. We have life force energy, chi or prana. We have Kundalini, which is the energy of the psyche and the 7 chakras, which govern the 7 psychological states of awareness. And then we have a heretofore unknown power that, at least in my research, I'm not sure that any other school of magic or energy work or spirituality uses, which is the heart mind, the lightning power that surrounds the heart. And that's where intent is. Intent is not intellectual. You know, I don't, this isn't a personal judgment, but I never vibed with modern Western magic. And it's not because there isn't some things in it that aren't valuable or aren't even powerful. It's just, for me, it's just too intellectual. And so a lot of modern Western magicians think that their intent is governed by their intellectual thoughts. And that's just not true. Your intent is governed by your emotions. But in order to be able to use your emotions and turn those emotions into intent, you must be fully consciously aware of all of your unconscious thoughts and feelings. This is where the heart mind comes in. So I'm going to be talking to you about today how to combine all of these things. Again, so I appreciate that people have questions. What I'd like for you to do is wait until I've finished talking. Because if you throw a question out and you haven't even heard what I've said, you're not listening. Hold your questions until after I've talked a little bit. So, and if you do have a question, please write the word question in all caps and then write your question and I'll be happy to answer it. All right, so let us talk about this. The 3 levels of energetic forces. So this is chi plus Kundalini plus intent. Now, those of you who are doing the Warrior 90-Day Challenge, even if you're on the first level, you're already doing this. I have already put that into the practice. For those of you who don't know what happens on the 90-Day Challenge, you go thunderwizard.com, you click on Warrior 90-Day Challenge Lightning Qigong, you subscribe there, and then there is just simply a video of me for a half an hour doing my daily practice. And you get to follow along with me. In that practice, I have embedded exercises and meditations that employ all three of these energies. So you are already doing this. Those of you who are doing level 1 and those of you who are at level 2, you have been contacting me and letting me understand that this is doing what I intended, which is it is creating a fundamental transformation on all levels. It's very exciting. The energy is very, as you know, it's very intoxicating. It's very exciting. It's very fun, but it can also be challenging because you're going to have to become conscious of all of your unconscious emotional states. And it is until you have the awareness, or I should say, to the degree that you have conscious awareness of your unconscious emotional agendas, feelings, and reactions, that's the amount of power you're going to have to warp reality. So this isn't just about manipulating. I know a lot of people are going to come on here, people already have. They want to find out ways how they can beat the system, how they can impose their will upon their reality. And the reason why people like that aren't very successful is because they're operating from a complete misunderstanding of their emotional realities and agendas. And I could get into that, but I won't do that. I'm sure it'll come out in some of the questions. So the 3 levels of energy. First we have Qi, prana, life force energy, orgone. I don't care what word you use. We're talking about the energy that is in the matrix in which we live. So we live within a matrix. Those of you who want to escape the matrix, you are partially correct. Your instincts are correct, that you are living within a program. It's not a computer program. It is a program that has been created by your intent before you manifested. You created this holodeck, you created this hologram, this 3-dimensional virtual reality, and then you put on your 3-dimensional suit, which is your meat bag. And within that, you have the being that is controlling the meat bag, which is your soul. Your soul is not bound by 3 dimensions. Your soul is timeless and infinite and omnipotent. So that's why you should drop any belief that thinks otherwise. It's okay for you to feel weak. It's okay for you to feel controlled. It's okay for you to feel oppressed. I want you to have access to all of your feelings. I'm not trying to talk you out of your feelings or try to put you into a state of denial. In fact, quite the opposite. In order to have the control of this reality, you first have to be completely, to the best of your ability, be aware of all of your emotional realities. But the soul is not bound by this 3-dimensional video game. So it has to be put in a package that will keep it from influencing or destroying 3-dimensional reality. Because if your soul immediately popped out and was fully manifest in 3 dimensions, it would burn a hole right through it. Because you're not a 3-dimensional being. You're a multi-dimensional being called a soul. But your soul has to put on the virtual reality suit, virtual reality goggles. It has to have, and it sits in its little control booth, which is right here in the heart center, and it is in a safe place, which protects 3-dimensional reality from the power of the soul, which is the heart mind, which is an energy that has an intent. It is governed by the feminine energy. It's governed by yin power, and it is the element of fire. Specifically, when you put feminine fire together, you get lightning. It is governed by lightning, the most powerful, immediate expression of light. In fact, lightning bolts, I don't even know what the degree is, but they're far hotter than the surface of the sun. The electromagnetic force is 10 to the 30 power, or something like that, stronger than gravity. This is the thing that prevents, my hands from going through each other, from you falling through the earth to the center of the gravity of this planet. It is the force of Thor, who is both giant and celestial deity, who is the most powerful being that goes out and destroys the giants and the trolls. This is the power that is surrounding the heart. This is the power of where your intent lives. So when we combine these three powers, power of Qi, life force energy, the power of Kundalini, which is psychological awareness. It's not, I mean, it's very frustrating. I understand people aren't educated, but all you have to do is just go into YouTube and type in Kundalini and click on however many videos, and you will see no shortage of people looking you in the face with complete conviction saying Kundalini is the life force energy of the universe. And it's not. Qi is the life force energy of the universe. Prana, breath, is the life force energy of the universe. Kundalini is the psychological awareness that allows your soul to identify with three-dimensional awareness. When you die, your Kundalini will die also. Kundalini doesn't go with you to the next realm. The reason why you feel when you achieve a Kundalini awakening, which most people, again, the vast majority of people say, I've had a Kundalini awakening, they haven't. But when you have a Kundalini awakening, you become psychologically mature and aware of your dual nature of an infinite soul being and this physical three-dimensional ego. So the Kundalini is about the ego. The 7 chakras are the seven realms of psychological maturity and awareness. Focusing on your chakras is not going to give you what most people think it's going to give them. It's a necessary part of our journey, but it's part of our tools. And so we have Qi, we have Kundalini, and then we have the Shin, as the Taoists call it, the heart mind, which is governed by lightning, the quickest. Your intent is as fast as lightning, and it is the thing that nothing can escape. If you want to fight against demons, you use the power of lightning. And so this is an energy that is normally kept contained within itself. But the sorcerer knows how to pull the levers, pull the switches in their body. It's very simple. Tapping into it is not hard. Controlling it, that's a whole other deal. Being able to handle psychologically, emotionally, the effects of having that energy in your body, that's a whole other thing altogether. Tapping into it, it's one of the easiest things there is to do. And that's why this knowledge has been kept secret. To my knowledge, like I said, I don't know anybody that's teaching practices that awaken this. And that's only because, as I learned it, I was told that this stuff, my teachers didn't really understand what the heart mind was. That you don't have to understand it to tap into it. So these guys had learned techniques and had mastered how to generate and transmit huge amounts of power. But they didn't really understand it. And so I thought I was just learning your traditional type of energy, Qi, power, Taoist, internal martial art, mysticism kind of thing. But everywhere I went, when I went and talked to actual masters and I told them what I was doing in one form or another, I would always get these very concerned looks on their faces. Some of them would refuse to communicate with me because they were afraid of me, and some would point their fingers at me and say, you have to be careful, you're tapping into powers you don't understand, and that is demonic, and that, and I couldn't figure out what the heck they were talking about. And it hasn't been until recently that I have been able to actually realize what this is. And it is a whole different energy meridian system, which I'm calling the heart mind. Okay, so these are the 3 things that you tap into. Now, even if you're doing level 1, in the 90-day challenge, you're incorporating all three. When you're doing the Kundalini yoga, when you're doing some of the yogic postures, when you're doing the mantra work, I give you a mantra as well. When you're doing that, you are tapping directly into Kundalini. Obviously, when you're doing the Qigong work, the movement and the breath, that you can feel your palms start to get tingly and heavy, and you start to feel that sort of loopy feeling, you're tapping directly into Qi. When you're doing some of the standing postures, you are tapping directly into the Shin, the heart mind, and those of you know what I'm talking about. We do a specific cycle, progression of the 5 elements, which if you've learned traditional Chinese medicine, you've heard of it, but you probably don't understand it, and you probably have not been told how to use it and why. So we use a specific progression that is going to give you the power to destroy negativity. And so what ends up happening is that you become conscious of your emotional heart mind. You become conscious of all of the beliefs, assumptions, and the wounds that you're holding on to, which create a false reality. So it's important to understand this. The way the heart mind works, it's here to protect the soul. That lightning power is not just protecting three-dimensional reality from the infinite power of the soul. It's also protecting the soul from the harsh limitations of three-dimensional reality. Because when the soul is in its element, there is no pain, there is no judgment. There is no such thing as another soul coming to you and saying or doing something that causes you harm. There is an understanding that you have. There's an acceptance that you have. You see the true essence. There's no judgment. So the soul is very... What the hell's going on? Gosh, I wish they would stop doing that. So the soul is very vulnerable to the harshness of this reality. When somebody rejects you, when somebody judges you, when somebody hurts you, when somebody manipulates you, somebody tries to control you, these things are very damaging to the soul in three-dimensional reality. So it must be protected by this fire element, this lightning element, this protective mother that surrounds the soul. And it is called the king's bodyguard. And it is the most powerful defensive force in the universe. That's why it's used to fight against evil spirits. And the people who taught me this were from a tradition of sorcerers that instead of doing rituals to drive away negativity, they would just walk in and use their bare hands. They'd go up against a demon with their bare hands, slice it to pieces, and just the power of doing these forms in any kind of a place creates a vibration that sends the demons running. If they wanted to gain power, they would go into a place that was haunted. They would go to a graveyard, or they would go to some place even more intense where there were really hardcore negative beings, and they would challenge them. And they would actually fight them with their bare hands by doing the forms. And when you fight against negativity of that strength, your heart-mind energy increases exponentially, because the heart-mind has to release more and more of that lightning energy through the body and through the hands. The result is they'd end up afterwards with a lot of power. So these are the kinds of things that are used to release the heart-mind, and that energy, normally it acts as a shield. So whenever somebody harms you, whenever you're disappointed, whenever you're hurt, these things get lodged in the heart center. This is the king's bodyguard. The king's bodyguard will take all the punishment for the soul. And then it takes a huge amount of energy to hold those wounds just on the periphery. And that's what most people do. This is why people have mental illness, among other things. This is why there's people who have pain and misery. This is why you have people who go around thinking that they are doing the right thing and they go around destroying other people. It's because the amount of energy that it takes to hold on to these wounds without working through it consciously actually makes you insane. So this is why you cannot do this path if you are a victim. You can't do it. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to be able to turn off your victim mentality instantly. So we have to do these kinds of exercises. And this combination of these 3 exercises, working with Qi, life force energy, which will give you the feeling of being nourished, which will give you bravery, which will give you empowerment and self-confidence. Working with the Kundalini, which helps you to identify with your physical being so you feel like you belong here on this earth and at the same time that you are a spiritual being. And then the heart mind, which gives you direct access to the power of your soul, the lightning nuclear power of your soul. When you overcome your limitations, the blocks that you have in your heart mind, and you go through that can be very challenging. Not everybody can go through it. You can go through that, then you can have direct access to this lightning power. Then when you do like you're doing in level 1, I'm telling you how to do it just by pressing play and doing it with me. I'm incorporating all 3 of those things. Then when you intend your reality, you have power that cannot be beaten. You have the 3 forces behind you. And so this is why I combine things that have never been combined before. To my knowledge, nobody has ever done this. Taking high-level Qigong, combining it with high-level Kundalini yoga and mantra meditation, combining that with standing postures and movements that open up the heart mind. As you know, when you go through the progression and you get to the end of it, when you do, you wait till the end to do your mantra meditation and your intention, because combining these 3 energies in the proper sequence, in the proper amounts, results in your ability to do 2 things: to intend your reality, but more importantly, you already know what it is you truly want. Most people, again, like if I'm talking about Western magic, they think it's arbitrary. Chaos magicians, what little I know about it. It's arbitrary, and you impose your will upon... You can't impose your will upon the universe if you don't know what it is you truly want. If you're operating from a fear-based mentality, if you're operating from a mentality of lack, of I'm a victim, of they're doing it to me, I have to force the universe to give me what I want. If you're operating from that, you don't know what you truly want. And so you're going to take something arbitrarily and try and force it onto reality. And the matrix is going to go, I can tell that's not what you want. I can see that that's not it. So I'm not going to respond to that. At best, you'll get mixed results. At worst, you'll get what you're imposing on the universe, and it will make you miserable. So the heart mind allows you to become aware of what it is you truly want from a place of strength. So there's this dual experience of, on the one hand, I am intending my desires onto this blank canvas of the matrix, and it is responding by creating exactly what I intend. And also simultaneously having this experience of, this is just natural and this is what would happen anyway. It's happening effortlessly. This is what the Taoists talk about. My teachers would say, strength is no strength. You go from nothing to something back to nothing. Your goal is to get back to nothing, and not in a new agey, I have no ego, I've destroyed my ego, and it's you are full of potential. The power is infinite, and there's this effortless feeling as you flow through life and destroy. Like if you were to fight an evil spirit, there would be this feeling on your part that you're just flowing through and you're going effortlessly. But if somebody were to watch you, you would be looking as though you're going through multiple dimensions. You're going faster than the human eye can watch. There's cracks happening like lightning. Can be a very intense thing to watch. But your experience is, I'm just flowing through very comfortably and easily. You put all these things together, this is the path of the sorcerer. I use that word in the same way that Carlos Castaneda used the word, sorcerer. It means a warrior, a spiritual warrior who lives a life of integrity, who knows themselves and is ruthless at knowing themselves. So if you know yourself, nobody can delude you if you know yourself. If you've been deluded, it means you don't know yourself. All right, so this is what's happening. We're on level 2 now. Level 1, I give you the basic practice, which lasts for about, I think, a half an hour. And you just follow through with me. The idea is to do each level for at least 90 days. And even that, I'm rushing it, but you should do it at least for 90 days each. And even then, if you're doing level 1 and it's too much, either you don't have the time, which again, we could talk about that, or if it's too intense, you can cherry pick a couple of exercises and just do that. The most important thing is that you do something every day, even if it's just 3 minutes. 3 minutes every day will build exponentially. You do 2 hours one day and then nothing again for 2 weeks, then you're just wasting your time. So the idea is to do something every day. And in the first level, in the 90 days challenge, you get the basic structure of this particular practice that I'm going to be giving you. And then in the level 2, those of you who are already in it, I introduce to you more aspects of using the 5 elements. And we use the 5 elements in the cleansing cycle, which is used to destroy demons. We use that to flush out the toxins in ourselves, the emotional toxins. This is when you're going to start to become aware of your feelings. You might have overwhelming feelings of anger, of sadness. All these feelings might come up. But this is just like when you eat bad fish, you got to puke it up. You're getting rid of it. That is tapping into the heart mind as well, because you're allowing the lightning to bring to your awareness those beliefs, those unresolved emotions that are taking your energy away. You notice that people who are angry a lot, who are sad, who are depressed, some people have really intense emotional difficulties. They're constantly tired. They might even be sick. They might even have things like fibromyalgia, these diseases that doctors don't know where they come from or what they are, but they see the results. There's something going on here. We don't know what it is. I remember once, there was an advertisement for some medication for fibromyalgia. And they said, fibromyalgia, we believe that fibromyalgia is a nervous disorder caused by a disorder in the nerves. I mean, it was something like that. It was like it's a sickness caused by a sickness. They didn't even know what the hell it is. And that's supposed to make sense. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a nervous thing. It's my nerves. Well, yeah, it's your nervous system overloaded because the amount of energy that's going into your heart mind to block all of the wounds that you haven't worked through, all of the pain, the anger, the resentment, the sadness, the hopelessness, the confusion, all of those things are being trapped, and either in different parts of your body, but especially, the last defense for your soul is that heart mind, and it just sort of piles up on there. So all of that energy, your life force energy as well as your heart mind energy, is going to keeping those things from attacking your soul. And that is going to drain you of energy. So you'll notice one of these things, people have different experiences with this practice. Some people feel like they've been plugged into a light socket and they're full of energy. That's a good sign. But some people will do it, they'll feel the energy, and then the next thing they're out. They're passed out. So some people have said, this is tiring me out. I say, no, it's not tiring you out. It's giving you the energy that you've needed to sleep. People who have insomnia will say they have too much energy. I can't sleep because I have too much energy. It's actually the opposite. it takes more energy to sleep than it does to stay awake. It takes more muscles to close the eyes than it does to open them. So when you finally get, your energy is more balanced and you have more energy, the first thing that your nervous system and your body and your brain is going to do is say, I need to sleep. I need to go rest. So it's not that you're tired and you don't have energy, it's that you finally have enough energy to let your body rest and recuperate. You may have a scenario where you feel full of joy, full of happiness, a feeling of invulnerability. That's a good sign. You may have all kinds of messed up feelings. But if you take a reality check, you'll find that your life is going better, problems are smoothing out, and people are reacting differently to you. I've had many situations where especially early on, where I was just full of all kinds of really uncomfortable feelings. And I was doing the work and people would come up to me and say, I really like being around you. There's this peace about you. There's this calmness about you. And I'm like, I have no idea what they're talking about. And that's because people are going to start responding that you think that if you shove your feelings down, that they don't exist. Have you ever been around people like this? Passive-aggressive people are this way. Passive-aggressive people will look at you and they'll smile and they'll say things that on the surface sound like a compliment, but you always walk away feeling like you just got the rug pulled out from underneath you and somebody just took all the air out of your sails. Or, something like that. That's passive-aggressiveness. That's unconsciousness. So all of your unresolved feelings, you push them down, they just come out. They come out in all kinds of ways. You might get wrapped up in politics. You might get wrapped up in conspiracy theories. You might get wrapped up in addictions. Those are ways that your unresolved emotions are unconsciously acting out through you. So if you have full knowledge of your feelings, you might have some messed up feelings, but you'll have control over the choices that you make. This is the power of the heart mind. All right, so in level 2, that's what's happening. You're starting to cleanse things out and you're starting to really gain some power. And in level 3, which I haven't introduced yet, but I will, please stop asking me when. I will introduce it when I'm ready to introduce it, but it will be coming soon. In level 3, I'm going to be giving you some very simple exercises that if you just simply know how to move the body and stand in a certain way and move in a certain way, that you start unlocking, because there's all kinds of triggers and all kinds of buttons here and all the fingers and the arm and the hand and the body. If you just put yourself in the right posture, you've noticed it already with the element postures, things happen. It's because you're opening up. There are ways that you can tap right into that heart mind just by clicking a certain switch. And then you're going to have to learn how to integrate that energy and watch the changes. But when you have all 3 of them, the practice is that you're able to intend reality, warp reality, however you want to look at it. All right, so to get involved with that, you can go to the 90-day challenge at thunderwizard.com. Click around until you see Warrior 90-day challenge, Lightning Qigong. Subscribe there. If you don't like it, you can unsubscribe. Please stop asking me questions. How many videos is it? How long does it? Just try it. If you don't like it, you can unsubscribe. All of those questions about how long and what is it and what am I going to get, that's your resistance. The truth is you have control over the time that you have. You think you don't, but you do. When you make the decision to make time for something, you can. If you don't have time in your life, it means that you are full of chaos so that you can be distracted from your feelings. So I'm not going to give you that. I'm not going to co-sign that for you. And, the truth is that half an hour a day, at least, you can do more than that, but come on, everybody can make a half an hour out of their day. And if you want to kickstart with the energy transmission, you can go to energyhealing.thunderwizard.com. Of course, courses.thunderwizard.com, all of my books and everything else. Check that out. Subscribe, hit the bell button, smash the like button now before you forget. All right, I'm happy to take questions. As you know, the way to do is to ask me an honest question. Honest question means you're asking me something you think that I know that you don't. Anything else is not an honest question. Or you can share an honest feeling. A feeling isn't I feel that somebody's stupid. That's not a feeling. A feeling is I'm afraid, I'm angry, I'm happy, I'm sad. You can share with me honest feelings and honest questions. That's the best way to interact with me. Otherwise, you're putting a target on your head. And I may need to psychoanalyze you. God Emperor. Okay, so again, as I saw from the moment I hadn't even started and you threw your question up. So God Emperor, again, my question for you. So if I understand you're doing the Hool breath, right? So you are doing some of the work. But again, it's okay that you're asking the question, but I prefer that you ask questions about what I'm talking about. But let's see, you say question. I feel vibrations, energy in my hands, and I can move the energy with my mind to the palm. What could this mean? It means exactly what you just said. The thing about energy is that the energy follows intent. So if you learn how to move the energy around in your body, it means that you learn how to intend your reality. So it means exactly what it feels like. Congratulations, that means you're getting somewhere. By the way, in case anybody's new to the channel and you don't want to, whatever reason, you don't want to subscribe, you can simply type in Hool breath into YouTube, Huul breath, and just do that. That's free. I'm giving that to you for free. That is the meditation that connects you directly to the ascended master lineage that I work with. It's a way of being initiated into this thunder path. You're free to use that in any way that you want. If you just did that breath for the rest of your life, you would gain everything. So don't say I never gave you nothing. But that's, I believe, what God Emperor is doing. He's using the Hool breath. By the way, I have some thoughts about your question, God Emperor. You had some questions about an experience about how you did the Hool breath and you started feeling a lot of anger in terms of politics. You started getting really upset with one side of the political spectrum, and you had come to the conclusion that that political spectrum, that those people involved in that part of politics was destroying your life, was destroying the world, was destroying your ability to get girls. And of course I said, I guarantee you that's not the case. The good news is what's happening is you're becoming conscious of your feelings in your heart mind. So those things that are coming up, it's like when you get sick and you puke up bad fish, that's the first thing that's going to come out is the toxins. So the mistake that some people make is they have that feeling, and you could have gone, I was meditating and I had this feeling that they're out to get me, therefore I'm seeing the truth. My third eye is open. You even mentioned that you felt something in your third eye. It's not that your third eye was open and you were seeing the truth. It was that the garbage inside of you was coming out. This is your projection. Your current issue that you're working with, which I won't state publicly, one of the things that happens with that is it makes you think in black and white terms, and it makes you feel righteously indignant. That's one of the first things that people with your situation, they're very judgmental, and they respond very judgmentally to things and to people. So I'm here to tell you that is not inaccurate. What you shared about, that's not accurate. That is good to know. You should write all that stuff down. If you do have a therapist, you should be telling your therapist, I meditated and here's what I thought. Because this is you need to go past, go beyond that. What you just shared in that comment is not reality. That's your projection based on your fears and your pain and your unresolved issues. But it's good that you had it, because now you know. I'm here to tell you that's not that thought process you had is not reality. But it's good that you became aware of it. Breakaway Civilization, if you have a question, write the word question in all caps, because if we got a lot of people, I won't see it, and I want to be able to answer your questions. Welcome to the channel. You say, what if we keep getting brought down by negative frequencies, such as mind control? Well, that's an assumption. So watch my videos on critical thinking. So in order for you and I to have a conversation, we both have to agree on an assumption. You're trying to get me to buy into the assumption that somebody can actually control your mind through frequencies, through negative frequencies. And I don't share that. Nobody controls my mind. I can tell you that right now. No, it doesn't matter if somebody's out there putting all of their effort into controlling my mind, whether it's through media, whether it's through magic, or whether it's through frequencies. I'm not saying that that stuff doesn't exist. They can't control me. And the reason, if you are controlled by negative frequencies, it means that those things exist within you. So if you were to let's say subscribe at the basic level of the thunderwizard.com, the shamanism mastery course, the first thing I would tell you is you have to drop all victim mentality. That is a victim mentality. That is a belief that somebody out there has the ability to control your mind. You also need to learn about projection. Projection, psychological projection, is what happens when somebody has a thought or a feeling on a very intense level that either they choose not to or are not capable of consciously acknowledging within themselves. And so they project it onto the people around them. Somebody walks in the room and you say, "Oh my God, you're so angry." And the person is not angry and they don't know what you're talking about. And that's because you're angry. Something about them stimulated you to feel angry, but because you're not able to consciously accept that, you project that onto them. So this is your projection. You're not being brought down by negative frequencies from mind control, from anything outside of you. You are being brought down by your own self-directed shame and judgment. So watch my videos on critical thinking so you can understand what that's about. So that's my advice for you. If you don't know how to do that, learn how to search within a channel. Everybody watching this, I'm telling you, go onto my channel, thunderwizard.com, go to my channel page, and if you're on a desktop or a laptop, or I think even on an iPad or something like that, you'll find either right there, you'll find a magnifying glass on the second, not on the top, because that's all of YouTube, but underneath, you'll see a magnifying glass next to videos or something like that. You can click on that. In fact, let me just look at it right now. So let me just look myself up here. YouTube, Thunder Wizard. Right, click on that. There I am, Thunder Wizard, DOTCOM. I click on that. That's my channel page. And then, then there's up at the top, there's the search bar, and then below where it says thunderwizard.com, it says home, videos, playlists, community, channels, about. And then next to that is a magnifying glass. You click on that, another search bar comes up. Put in whatever you want. Kundalini, Qi, demons, power, magic, critical thinking. So type critical thinking in that and watch all my videos about critical thinking. There's a lot. But that, if you want to learn how to defend yourself against what you think is negative mind control, you first have to understand projection. You could also type in projection. I have videos on that. How you project onto the world what's inside of you. Because that's the truth. If your world is full of misery, full of pain, if there are evil beings controlling you, it means that that's your projection. I live in a world where I don't have any COVID. There's no COVID where I'm at. I don't have to wear a mask. I'm in Australia where, they've locked things down. In this state where I'm at is COVID free. Nobody can, you can go into a restaurant, you can shake hands, you can have sex on the street corner. Well, it's not illegal to do that, but there's no COVID here. I live in rainforest in this beautiful little seaside town, and there's no crowds on the beach, and there's perfect waves, and there's 85 degrees, and that's because that's my projection. I work doing whatever the hell I want whenever the hell I want it, and I make a good enough living to have everything that I want. That's my projection. Yours is different. Everybody's different. If yours is full of negativity and poverty and misery, that's your projection. I'm not judging you. So now you have a task. You have to do what I've done for the past 57 years, which is really analyze myself and become honest. And now because I know myself, I have the ability to choose what I project. If you don't know yourself, You can intellectually want to project it all you want, but if you don't have true knowledge of yourself, you won't be able to stop what your unconscious mind does. So breakaway civilization, we're talking about your unconscious mind. You need to do some work to get some awareness of that, and then you won't be asking those questions ever again. It may take some time, took me some time, but that's what this channel is all about. I recommend that you do something, whether it's the free videos where I give you energy work or meditation, or if it's working on the Patreon channel, thethunderwizard.com. I recommend that you do the work, because this isn't going to help you. Having thoughts and ideas, all the talking that you and I are doing right now is really just 1%. The other 99% is doing the practices. Okay, what else? God Emperor says, sometimes when I watch you, there's a pressure sensation in my third eye area. Well, I don't know what that is. You know, it's just a sensation. I wouldn't make too much out of it. I love the positive sensations I get from doing the practice, but that's not everything. What's most important is my life getting better? Am I happier? Am I healthier? Am I more productive? Those are the things that are most important. But, you know, have whatever experience you have. It may mean something, it may not. But ultimately what matters is the practical reality of, is your life getting better? Rune, question. I do the 3 practices every day. And during them, okay, so he's talking about the 90-day challenge, warrior, the electric Qigong. There's a morning practice, there's a short noontime or afternoon practice, and then there's a nighttime practice. So he's saying he's doing all 3 of those practices. Or she, I don't know if it's a he or a she. Question, I do the 3 practices every day, and during the midday practice, the only perfect fantasy place that I visualize is a place and feeling that I had in the past when I was really happy. I feel like this is a block. Why? Is this normal? Should I try to manipulate my visualizations to redirect them to something not oriented in the past? So there's assumptions in there, and you know how I feel about that. Where did I say that having a good experience in the past is somehow wrong? Where did I ever say that thinking about something in the past is right or wrong or good or bad? The truth is there is no past, present, or future. So I don't I can kind of understand it, but your reasoning isn't logical. And also, don't try and force your mind to do something it doesn't want to do. If when you close your eyes, and I'm saying, think of a perfect fantasy place, and the first thing you go to is something in the past that gives you happiness, then that's where your soul wants to go. Don't judge yourself. Don't do such violence to yourself. Trying to wrestle that out of you. You know, where did that come from? Who is that that's telling you not to think about the past and you shouldn't think about, who's doing that? I'm not doing it. Was it a parent or a teacher? I don't know. But no, don't beat yourself up. Follow your intuition. Part of what's going to happen is you're going to find out how you're overthinking things. Not just you personally, but everybody. We overthink things. That's why I spend so much time telling people to stop all the thinking. Because the intellect is a defense against your emotional reality. So whenever you know, this is why I don't engage in emotional what ifs or intellectual what ifs. Freudian slip there. Whenever I get somebody to say, well, what if this and what if that? And if this is true, then that. And you'll notice that whenever somebody does that, I always tear them apart. I always say, stop shoving your assumptions down my throat. Because whenever you do all that thinking, it's a defense against your emotions. So this is what I'm seeing here, is that you've been taught to fight against your honest, intuitive, emotional experience. Where that came from, I don't know. That's what that's what being an apprentice is with me, or working with a mentor or a therapist. And by the way, everybody should have something. You should have a therapist, a counselor, a mentor, a teacher, somebody that you can talk to. You can't do this on your own. You don't have anybody, that's why I offer the apprenticeship, so that you can work with me personally. And your progress will go much more quickly if you have somebody to work with. Now, it doesn't have to be me, but you got to talk to somebody. Okay, you can't do this on your own. All right, what else? See right. Time is short, my friend. Turn to Jesus before it is too late. So, did Jesus teach you to be like a busybody who doesn't respect other people's boundaries? Is that what Jesus taught you? Now, bear in mind, you're new to my channel. You don't know that I was a Christian minister. I went to Bible school and became a Christian minister. I used to preach on the street. You don't know that I know you inside and out. And that's what I'm telling you. What you don't know, what I didn't know, is that when you go and try and, like that guy who went to the Andaman Islands and he tried to, give them Jesus and they killed him, it's because he was being violent. It is violent and abusive of you to go into anybody's life and world and start to impose your beliefs onto them. We haven't even got into whether or not your beliefs are right or wrong. So see right, you're an abusive person. You're welcome to watch, but I'm going to take away your ability to comment because you haven't deserved it. Your first interaction with me was to be abusive and feel superior to everybody. So you don't get to talk on my channel ever again. Let's all say goodbye to the Christian. Did I do that right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, there. It took a little while to kick in. Brian Yoshi is thanking me for the 90-day challenge. Thank you. All right. There's a bunch of questions here, which is what I really want. Creative Virgo, question. So Creative Virgo, again, you know what I've noticed is that the people who ask the most questions are the people who aren't doing the practice. Are you doing the practice? Am I wrong? Because you're on the channel a lot, you ask a lot of questions. Are you doing anything? Are you doing the whole breath? Let me know what you're doing. Maybe I'm wrong. But you ask, I enjoyed dragon video, so I guess I have a dragon video. There's a matrix course. Is it separate, independent course, or is it available with the Warrior subscription? There is a matrix course which is independent, which if you go to courses.thunderwizard.com, you'll see some matrix courses. Those are independent. Separate from that, but connected to it, if you do sign up at the Warrior 90-Day Challenge, you get, again, if you go onto the website, this is another thing that annoys me. People, if you go onto the websites will tell you everything. So if you go onto the thunderwizard.com, I've got a new video up there which explains how it all works. And it does make me feel better when people actually do that. So when somebody asks a question, I know they haven't investigated, it does annoy me a little bit. But I'm going to use it to my advantage here so that other people can understand. At the different levels of the Thunder Wizard site, you get access to everything beneath it. So when you sign up for the Warrior 90-Day Electric Qigong, you get access to the Manifestation Mastery course, which goes into depth talking about manifestation and the matrix. Now, you don't get access to that one matrix teaching, but it's very similar. So you can have access to the Manifestation Mastery course and to the hundreds and hundreds of hours of videos on the Shamanism Mastery course. Okay? So what else? Maclovia Padilla, question. While doing silent element breath, I feel very uncomfortable, like several beings are watching me. I feel like glass that's going to break. Should I back off or go stronger? Well, that feeling is, I can promise you that feeling is not real. In other words, there aren't beings watching you that are waiting to go through the glass to attack you. That's your projection. So you're becoming aware of your projection. You feel unsafe and you feel like your boundaries are like brittle glass. The feeling that there are things watching you from outside are your own feelings that you've separated yourself from. So that feeling of the glass breaking and those beings swarming in on you is the fear that your feelings will overwhelm you. And that's an understandable experience, but that's not going to happen. So your next question is, should you back off or go stronger? That's up to you. You know, you want to become Mr. Olympia, you go and you work out so hard that you can't get out of bed the next day. You go as strong as you can in order to get as big and, you know, whatever. You want to just get healthy, you go, and just as long as you're making progress. So I don't know that you should back off. Maybe, you know, just don't, if you're not comfortable and you don't want to experience that, you know, flooding in on you, all of your unconscious feelings flooding you, then, you know, go at a pace that you're comfortable. Like I said, the most important thing is to be consistent every day. Do something every day. I've gone through that. There have been times when I've broken off or slowed down my practice. The way I'm feeling now is that I don't have that. But there are things, my guides have given me new practices that I've started messing with. It's like, okay, that's going to take me to a whole other level. And I can tell I don't feel ready for that yet. So I make the conscious decision. I never do something, you know, out of guilt or manipulation or, you know, anything like that. So you do have control over how fast you want to go through it. Like I've said to people, if you just want to do the morning practice, then just do that for a while. If you want to do all three, do all three. If you want to just do the nighttime practice, do that. But make sure that you do something. You know, even if it's 3 minutes a day, just do something every day. And slowly, you know, if you want to increase it, which, you know, you're kind of asking me, should I keep going, which I think you should, but, you know, go at the pace that you want to go. And, you know, if you're able to handle and incorporate the feelings, you know, doing X amount of time, do X amount, and then slowly build it. You know, again, it's like going to the gym. You want to build muscle, you don't go and work out for 2 hours on your first day and then, you know, go to the hospital for 2 weeks and never work out again. You go and you start for 10 or 20 minutes and then you build, and each time you lift a little more than you did the day before. You always push yourself a little bit past where you were. So that's okay too. All right, what else? Jedi Black Knight question. I've encountered the mirror dimension you talked about earlier. Well, that's an assumption that might or might not be true, at least the one I'm talking about. I've encountered the mirror dimension you've talked about earlier a couple of times. It does match your description, but how exactly do we learn from it? So again, the mirror dimension is you. It's the other part of you. It's the unseen. You have a right side and a left side. You have two eyeballs. If you ever notice, like if you cut somebody's face in half, you know, you look at them, you'll see one side looks different than the other. Some people really looks different. You know, the left eye will be totally different than the right eye. You know, there's two halves of the brain. There's a mirror side to everything. And the mirror side is facing yourself. You know, there's somebody else that keeps asking me about the mirror dimension and wants to make it into something more than it is. And I get annoyed by that. It's not your guys' fault that I get annoyed. I get annoyed. I'm not saying this about you, Jedi Black Knight, but when I get annoyed, it's because I can sense that there's an unconscious agenda. And I can sense it. Sometimes I can't tell exactly what it is, but I can sense it. And it bugs me. It bugs me. I also get annoyed when I think people are trying to escape. And so I'll give something and then they'll try and turn it into something else, and they'll turn it into some way of escaping reality. And I get annoyed with that because the power is in full knowledge of this reality. You chose to be here, not just you, Jedi Black Knight, all of us chose to be here so that we could fully be in this three-dimensional reality that has a duality to it. And so, you know, we need to, you know, what a sorcerer does is a sorcerer goes into the mirror, which is looks into the darkness. So the mirror is the dark side of you. It's your unseen, it's your unconscious. So again, I don't know if you say you've encountered the mirror dimension. The mirror dimension isn't outside of you. It's you. There's a mirror side to everything. So how do we learn from it? You learn from it by knowing what's under the surface. What, the feminine, the dark, the yin. We learn about what's hidden and we incorporate it into our consciousness. It's really that simple. Incorporating into your conscious awareness that which is unconscious. And the mirror side can be very frightening. There's a ton of power there, but it's also very frightening. This is why people are afraid of it. Hela, the goddess Hela, is a good example. The way the goddess Hela, Hella, which is the Norse goddess of the underworld, she is depicted as being half beautiful young maiden and half rotting corpse. So imagine seeing that. That would be really unsettling to see that. What she's showing is that if she appears to you and you see her that way, it means that you are divided. It means that you are not unified. If you see her as full corpse, it means that you haven't even begun to look at your dark side and it's frightening the hell out of you. If you see her as this beautiful maiden, it means that you've unified the two and you are fully conscious of your unconscious issues. They're no longer unconscious anymore. The reason why when people go to the underworld and have horrible experiences of hell, there are people that have near-death experiences and come back and say, I was just in hell. It means that they're incredibly unconscious. And so what happens one of the first things that happens when you die is you go to the mirror realm. You go to the other side. If you go to the underworld and you're surrounded by feasting and partying and happiness, it means that you're comfortable with your other half, your unconscious. It's only dark, it's only evil if you haven't acknowledged it. The reason why, I'll give you an extreme example. The reason why serial killers do what they do is because they are totally, completely unaware of their darker feelings, their anger, their fear. They've been horrifically abused. You'll find with serial killers, they were horrifically abused and or neglected as infants, which creates horrific need. It's a horrible thing. And then what happens is, what's his name? Jeffrey Dahmer, for example. He would meet somebody, he was gay, so he'd meet a man and he would want to take them home and he would want to enjoy their company and, have romance and all that. He didn't have any intention of harming them. And he would be enjoying that, and then they would turn around to leave. And then he would snap and he would choke them or bash them over the head and he'd kill them because he loved them so much. From his perspective, he would say, no, I don't hate anybody. I love people. I'm consuming them. I want them to be part of me. He's totally clueless of how much pain he was in, how he was abused and neglected and hurt. Now, if you don't know what's going on in the mirror side, then it will control you. You will act out unconsciously and destructively. And if you're one of these people, for instance, you go through life and you go, I don't know why people don't understand me. People are mean to me. People think I want something bad from them and I don't. And I don't know why people tell me to leave them alone. It's because you're not conscious of your feelings. When you bring those negative feelings into the light and have them, and then love yourself in them, then you act consciously. You don't hurt people. You can look people in the face and say, I'm really scared right now. If Jeffrey Dahmer could say, God, I really like being with you. I'm afraid you're going to leave because I'm afraid I won't see you again. But I know I will, and I just want you to know I just had to get that out. But or not say anything. And no, wow, I'm really scared, but I'm not going to say anything. I know he'll be back. That's all. The only difference between Jeffrey Dahmer, the serial killer, and Jeffrey Dahmer, the healthy, fully, light, loving person, was that he just wasn't able to acknowledge his loving feelings. It rotted and turned into something horrific. So that's the mirror. Again, I think people are trying to turn the mirror when I call it the mirror dimension or the mirror, they're trying to turn it into something more than what it is. But it is still very powerful, and that's where all the power is. There's a veil. There's the physical world and there's the non-physical world. The mirror is not outside of us. So having said that, now you can examine whether or not your assumption and my assumption match up. Are we talking about the same thing? What else? Ed the Wave question, have you thought of live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch at the same time? There are ways to do it with streaming apps. It would also make it easier for us to share your videos. I have not thought about that, but I will. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. FIM sample CG question, can this person or therapist that we choose to talk to, can it be a close friend? I don't know. I mean, you're better off finding a professional. The fact is that, what did I just say? You're better off finding a professional. What did I say? What just came out of my mouth? You're better off finding a professional. Because a professional is somebody you pay. And why do you pay that person? You pay them for their time. You pay them so that they won't have an agenda. Your friend has an agenda. Every friend. You don't want to have a friend who doesn't have an agenda. Because a friend who has an agenda means his agenda is I want to enjoy being your friend. Girlfriends, wives, parents, everybody has an agenda if you're connected to them because they want you to like them. They want you to love them. They want to get along with you. Your friend is not going to tell you the honest truth, because you're going to get mad at him. So no, I'm not saying that you can't talk to your friend. It doesn't mean that you can't have a friend help you and be a source and even a mentor, but more than likely it's going to be limited. The reason why I charge people money is for their protection. Because when they come to me with their very intimate, vulnerable stuff, by paying me money, you're protecting me, you're protecting yourself from my agendas. My agenda with a client is I just want to get paid for my time. And then I can tell you the truth and it doesn't matter whether you like it or not. You paid me for my time and that's all I cared about. Now I can just be completely free to tell you the truth. Your friend isn't going to be like that. And if somebody presents themselves as a teacher or as somebody and they're going to say, no, I don't charge, I'm just here to help, run away from that person because they are looking to take you hostage. They're looking to become a cult leader. They have an agenda. And the dynamic will be that you can't disappoint them. And this is why, so far, when you see all of the cult leaders, people who were spiritual gurus that had tons of following and they don't charge money, you end up finding that they're having sex with their students, and that they're stealing people's money and all kinds of stuff. That's why. All right. Maclovia Padilla question. My physical body feels like glass, like my bones feel like glass. I feel intense pressure like I'm going to break. The beings that I feel, I didn't think one way or the other what they could be. That's your projection. That's the feeling that your feelings are going to destroy you. And there's probably something, again, there sounds like there's some pretty serious codependence in there. You'd be well to have a counselor, a therapist, because there's something that happened to you based on some of the things that, I only know you by this. You're not my apprentice, so I don't know you personally. I don't know a lot about you, but, you've shared some stuff that leads me to believe that there's some codependence. So this is about your fear of other people's thoughts, other people's feelings, other people's judgments have the power to break you like glass. Why did you retract the message? Why did you get rid of that? I don't understand. You wanted I don't understand. Why did you do that? Now you retracted the other one. Okay, I guess you don't want to talk about it. Jedi Black Knight question continued. So you talked about eyes. Maybe I mentioned that my left eye was shut down during this experience and it scared me out. Hopefully this explains things further. Yeah, so, all this stuff is just physical expressions of your internal experience. And the whole point of what I'm doing is to help you to become aware. We've just had a couple people, expressing their discomfort with what's happening. And the discomfort, and I was there. Trust me, I was there. I did it. When I was first learning, this is why I'm not teaching the full-blown spirit fighting stuff, because if I handed that stuff to you guys, it might be too much. I would do the spirit fighting practices and I'd feel the tremendous power, and then I would be in the fetal position for the next 15 or 20 minutes because the feelings that were coming up were so unbearable. But that was the mirror. That was the other stuff coming out. That was me learning how to, in fact, it was that drove me to start seeing a therapist, because I needed to work through all that stuff. All right, what else? Jacob Kern, if you have a question, I think I've seen your name before. So 2 most important things in life is to pay attention and to put effort. So pay attention to what I'm going to say. If you have a question, write the word question in all caps so I can see it. Otherwise I might miss it. And then put effort. Next time you come on, put effort to remember that. You say, what's your opinion on psychedelics with our ancestors taking them, and how are they fast-tracked to spirituality? So who said that I believe that? Don't shove an assumption down my throat. Your assumption is that they are the fast track to spirituality, and that you're psychedelics with our ancestors. So what does that mean? That you're taking psychedelics to tap into your ancestors? Who told you that you had to take psychedelics to tap into your ancestors? They're already there. They're right there with you right now. They come the moment you call them. So you have this, there's all kinds of assumptions there that I don't agree with. So my opinion on psychedelics is go to my channel and then go to that little magnifying glass and type in, the easiest one is to type in marijuana, because I got a whole thing on marijuana and other types of entheogens and what I believe that they are. So I'm not going to take the time to talk about it now, but watch those videos and that should answer your question. All right, what else? Nothing else. Nothing else. Let's see, what else? Oh no, there's a couple other things here. Streamlabs. All right, I'll write that down right now. Streamlabs. That'll be interesting. Streamlabs. Multiple streaming software. All right, I've written it down. I'll go check it out. Thanks for that. Creative Virgo, please type in correct name of free counseling. All right, so Creative Virgo, you're annoying me. It seems to me that you have a hard time really listening and paying attention. So CODA is not free counseling. This is something else. So CODA.org. All right. CODA is a 12-step group for codependence. And I talk about it on my other channel. And it's a free thing. You go to it and you go to these live meetings and you get somebody to help you walk through the 12 steps. Okay? That is, in my experience, the most healing thing anybody can do for mental and emotional issues having to do with codependence, dysfunctional, destructive relationships. Free counseling is different. So you can go on to Google right now and type in online free therapy, and you'll find all kinds of things come up for counseling and therapy. So there it is. I've typed it in. There you go. Film sample CG question. Why did you call celestial Neigong celestial Qigong? You also said that Qigong and Neigong has a major difference. Is there any special reason for that? I changed the name to Qigong because I wanted to sell DVDs. And I knew that people found things on Amazon and online when they typed in specific keywords. And nobody knew what Neigong was. Very few people did. People know what Qigong is, so I changed it to Qigong. But the truth is that Neigong and Qigong are interchangeable. I was making a point on the difference that this kind of, what I didn't realize back then, what I'm teaching you now is that this heart mind, this Shin energy, the lightning power of the heart, that is something I'm coming to realize is a whole different meridian system. It taps directly into the Qi. It goes down into the Qi, so you can tap into Qi by doing the Shin power, the heart mind power. But you can't necessarily tap into the heart mind through Qi. So you get the best of both worlds. Now, I didn't know that back then 10 years ago. I thought that I was doing a Qi practice. I didn't realize that I was doing a whole different meridian system that had been kept secret for 2,000 years. I'm revealing that now. So in order to differentiate it, I called it Neigong. Now, Neigong is just internal meditation. That's really all Neigong means. Neigong could mean meditation, it could mean internal visualization, but usually people, when they use the word Neigong, they're trying to talk about a more internal, more advanced form of Qigong. Qigong is just energy work, breath work. But Qigong can be Neigong. You know, they interchange those words all the time. So don't get caught up with that. That was just marketing. It's not that anything I said was untrue, but don't get wrapped up in that. What else? Maclovia Padilla, thanks. I thought I would retract it before you got to it. I'm sorry. I just thought maybe it was a dumb question. You know me. If I think something's a dumb question, I'm going to tell you it's a dumb question. I didn't think it was a dumb question. Maclovia, you need help. You need some kind of counseling. It's okay with me that you don't want to do this, in front of everybody, and that's why but you do need some help, I think. I think it would benefit you, especially now you could merge the work that you're doing. You're having a lot of progress with the 90-day challenge. So merging that with therapy, is gonna, kickstart it even higher. So that's my suggestion to you. All right, so on my other channel, I don't know if you watch my other channel, it's Surviving BPD Relationship Breakup. I talk about this all the time. Your definition of the word codependence is not accurate. People get focused on the word dependence, and listen, I'm a recovering codependent. There's no shame in saying that. So you're saying I'm not codependent because I've isolated myself doesn't mean anything, because you think because I'm isolated, I'm not dependent on others. You're getting wrapped up on the word dependent. That's not what codependence means. So this is good because we can talk about this having to do with the heart mind. So as I said, the heart mind holds on to wounds, traumas, and that wound and trauma in the heart mind. By the way, everything that's happening now in the Senate right now, the impeachment hearing, has everything to do with what I'm about to talk about. It's so whenever you're harmed, whenever you're abused, whenever you go through psychological trauma of any kind, you've been hurt, you've been rejected, you've been abused, you've been manipulated, you've been neglected. That's probably the worst damage that can be done, is to be neglected. It's a result of what's called transactional love. So the difference between a healthy person, somebody who loves life and has great relationships and nothing ever bothers them and they just get through life and they're happy and constructive and life goes well for them. And the difference between that and a Jeffrey Dahmer is transactional love. So Jeffrey Dahmer is an extreme example. And I know because I researched him, so I know that he was abused and neglected and All kinds of strange things happened to him as a kid. That transactional love is when a baby is born. The role of the mother is to love that baby unconditionally. No conditions. That mother looks at that infant and says, I want to know what exactly makes this person unique, and I'm going to love them. I have no agenda. I have no need for them to be anything. I just want to reflect back to them who they are. And that's why babies look at you when you hold them. And that's why mothers look at them and they coo like this. They're reflecting back to the child, you exist. You are independent of me. You are special. I love you just for who you are. They find out that one hand is missing a finger. The mother goes, oh my God, I love that about you. That makes you unique and special that you have that. They have unconditional, no judgment. They have no agendas. Now, if somebody's damaged, and most people are damaged to some degree, they bring their agendas and their projections onto the child. So if you have somebody who's been damaged and who hates themselves, who's been traumatized, who has internal self-directed rage, even a narcissist pretends to be perfect, but inside they hate themselves, they will project that hate onto the child. And so the child will get the message, in order to be loved, which means to survive, I must make this giant being happy. This is why Jehovah is so destructive, because Jehovah's love is 100% conditional. Jehovah says, if you follow all of my commandments, you love me. And if you do not follow all of my commandments, you hate me. And if you hate me, I'm going to curse you and your children and throw you in hell. It's completely conditional. Accepting Jesus, being saved by Jesus, is conditional. Doesn't matter what you do, as long as you appeal to his ego and say, you are God and you died for my sins and I'm going to hell and I accept you and your sacrifice. It's purely conditional. So if you've been, as you grew up, if there was conditional love, you had to please mom, please dad, you had to be the perfect little girl, you had to get the best grades, you had to do something in order to get mom and dad's love and approval, then you've been damaged. And that damage is in your heart mind. And so this is what's happening to you. I'm giving you these exercises, which is thawing out the heart mind, and you're starting to have these feelings, that feeling of being vulnerable and that you're going to be destroyed and somebody's watching you. You're just reliving all of the feelings you had as an infant or as a kid that's been pushed into your heart mind, into your unconscious. So that's why it's okay. And that's why you felt dumb. And that's why then you had to go and tell me you weren't codependent. Because codependent means weakness, and weakness is bad. You better turn that frown upside down. Codependence doesn't mean you're dependent on others. It means that your sense of self-worth is dependent on what you do for other people. That's all that it means. And so if that's how you see your world, how you've been programmed, then you're codependent. Doesn't mean that, isolation is a defense against your codependence. It means that it's too painful for you. Everybody hurts you, so I'm just going to be alone forever and I'm never going to be with anybody. That's as codependent as not being able to let go of somebody and letting them walk all over you. It's just two sides of the same coin. Okay? A truly, the difference, a codependent child is a child that doesn't know how to individuate, meaning whatever your feeling is your feeling, and it doesn't change how I feel about you. In other words, if you like me, I love you. You hate me, I hate you. That's not being individuated. Individuated means I've decided that I like you. Oh, you hate my guts. Oh, that's sad, but that doesn't change how I feel about myself, and it doesn't change how I feel about you. I still love you. I'm going to stay away from you because you're destructive, but I have no ill feelings toward you. And most people pretend to do that. The love and light crowd pretends to do that, but they don't. People who say, I'll forgive, but I'll never forget. Those are people who are pretending to forgive, but they're not. And it's okay to say, I can't forgive somebody. I can't, when somebody thinks this about me, I can't help but feel angry, depressed, sad, inferior, or it makes me want to find out how I'm superior to them. Those are all signs that you're not individuated. And everybody has this to some degree. This is why the heart mind is so important. And this is why tapping into the heart mind, if you don't acknowledge your feelings, will turn you into a Sith Lord. Because then you'll have all this power, but then you'll use it to control people and, harm them. All right, let me see what else. At the wave, I have an ancestor altar and burn joss paper or hell notes. I don't know what any of that means. Ancestor money. Okay, yeah. Okay. I don't know what that has to do with anything. I guess we were talking about ancestors earlier. What else? Okay, so Maclovia is explaining her experience. I appreciate that. Jacob Kern. Yeah, you don't have to get upset. I mean, you don't have to feel bad. I mean, people, if I call somebody out, not you specifically, but if I call somebody out and I say, hey, my bullshit meter's going off, you can, lie to yourself, but you can't lie to me, you can't lie to the ancestors. I'm not doing that so that you feel guilty. Some people write me emails. I didn't mean to say that. Sorry, you don't have to apologize to me. I don't care. You're not hurting my feelings. I'm just pointing it out to you if I point something out because it's not helpful to you. And it's harsh sometimes and it's hard to hear, and I get that. But you didn't, I'm explaining to you that what you didn't realize was that you were shoving an opinion down, you were shoving an assumption down my throat. It's natural. People are trained to do this. So I'm putting a crowbar into people's training and I'm trying to untrain you. And I'm doing it, with the slap in the face or with the bitter medicine, but it's not coming from any desire on my part to, make you feel bad. It's more to sort of slap you awake. But if I'm pointing out something to you, it means it's not helpful for you. It doesn't serve you. And you can't help it if you didn't know, because most people don't. We're trained to do that. We're trained, again, what's happening in the United States Senate, same thing. There's all these intellectual arguments back and forth, and nobody's talking about their feelings. Nobody's talking about, I'm afraid that my constituents aren't going to vote me in, so I'm going to have this particular belief about this. People aren't being honest. And so they come up with all these intellectual, that. It's just, and so when we want somebody to co-sign something for us, we introduce an assumption. And now if you do that consciously, like I do, like if I am talking about something, I'll say, here is my assumption that I want you to adopt. You can choose to disregard it later if you want, but for this video, I want you to accept this assumption. I'm consciously doing it and I'm letting you know that I'm doing it. But we haven't been taught to do that. So we walk in and people will say, so if this, that, and the other thing, and you said previously this and that, which means this and this, so if this, and that, and those, then therefore this. Can you tell me about that? You've just tried to get me to buy into your what you want to say. You want me to co-sign it. And that's all it is. I'm just pointing it out to you that I don't agree with your assumption. It's not your fault. You didn't know any better. We're all just doing what we've been taught to do. All right, what else? Oh, good. I'm glad you're getting therapy, God Emperor. Good for you. By the way, I have a therapist. I talked with my therapist yesterday. It's a really, really valuable resource. And I do it. I almost seek out being embarrassed. I also have a group, and we talk through things, and they're ruthless with me. And they will tell me when I am coming from my unconscious issues, and it's horrible. I hate it. So if you think that I can dish it out and I can't take it, that's not true. I have to deal with it every week, at least. And But I do it on purpose. I purposefully go because I want to know what's going on in my unconscious, because I want that energy. I'm an energy junkie. And I want that energy. I want it so bad that I'm willing to see all the uncomfortable things, all of my codependence, all of my assumptions, all of my projections. I want to see it, even if it's horrifically painful, because I want to free up that energy so I'll have more power. Tara Furnice. Question: can somebody truly recover or heal from lifetime abuse? I mean, you're asking that question because you want to heal, right? What would you do if I said no? So this really is a rhetorical question. You really honestly don't think it's impossible. You obviously want me to tell you that you can heal. I don't know what you've been through, and I don't know what you need to heal. I don't know what complete healing or recovery is going to look like for you. I don't know how long that will take. Can you heal? Yes. If you have the ability to be honest and look at your emotions and look at what you've done to create layers of protection in order to survive whatever abuse you've been through, if you have the ability to look at that and own your side of it, you absolutely can heal. Is it going to hurt? Yep. Are you going to have to cry through a lot of stuff? Yep. You can't do it alone though. You need help. So if you're asking this question, you need some kind of therapy, some kind of help. I don't care if it's some kind of group therapy or 12-step or working with a psychologist, working with a spiritual teacher. You need something. You're not going to be able to heal on your own. Nobody can. All right. So Maclovia is again sharing her experience, which I appreciate. I don't see any more questions here. All right. So that's the deal, guys. What ends up happening, just to recap, when you do the work, when you do the 90-day challenge, you will go in and I will, without necessarily telling you, I will be giving you all three of those energies. Chi power, life force energy, which gives you a feeling of empowerment and trust and health, and which helps you look at yourself and all kinds of other good things. It's just, being injected with a shot of just pure energy, which will only help you and heal you. And then we work with Kundalini, which helps you to have a healthy spiritual ego, the best way to look at it. It helps you to become fused with your spirit and your human self and to become a spiritual, physical human being. And you work through the chakras. So that's when you're doing the Kundalini work, the Kundalini yoga practices, and the mantra. Mantra is especially powerful because what mantra does is it takes this Kundalini power and it takes it into the unconscious. And it starts to vibrate on a level that will start to dislodge. Like when you go to the dentist and they use the vibrating pick, sometimes they break it off and sometimes they use the vibrating thing, and the vibrations, the plaque, starts to come off the teeth. That's what happens when you chant a mantra. It creates a vibration which the false attachments and the false beliefs and all that start to vibrate and they start to come apart. And so you'll go through some challenges with that perhaps, but you will become aware. You'll start to see how you sabotage yourself and you start to vibrate on that level of the unified spiritual and physical psychological identity. Kundalini is all about the ego, the healthy spiritual ego. And then we do the heart mind, which will be certain postures that I give, the element postures especially, but even the mudras and those kinds of things, we're tapping directly into the heart mind, and the heart mind will give you that lightning power, which will then give you the ability to consciously know what your emotions are and be able to put those emotions into a power that creates reality. And then you'll start to see what it means to truly be a sorcerer, be a wizard, be, whatever word you want to use. And then you can warp reality. And my goal is to have 1,000 people. I want to have 1,000 people subscribed doing this. And then when I get enough people, we're going to start coming together and doing these group intentions. We'll do the practices together maybe, and we'll get up this energy and we'll throw group intentions for bringing everybody up to the next level of reality, changing this world, because we are on a crisis point where if we continue down this timeline, we're going to end up in another dark ages, another middle age type scenario, another catastrophe. But we can change that timeline. On our timeline, there's been numerous times where we've had the ability as a society to come and switch to the next level. And every time that we don't do that, we then create another timeline that takes us closer and closer to an apocalypse type of scenario. So we have that. Right now we have that. That's why this practice is so important. So I'll be there with you to the best of my ability, especially if you work with me, I can be with you, but I'll do the best that I can to keep guiding you and helping you. But I'm going to keep giving out more and more of this very powerful stuff. And take it to whatever level you're comfortable with. But let's change ourselves and change this world. And I think that's what I'm here to help people do. So that's it for me. I don't see any more thoughts or questions, so we're done. I will see you guys when I see you.